now in the FIA WTCR. Green flag waves at the head of the grid. Yvan Muller and Esteban Guerrieri move. Nesta Girolami is slow away, but the pole man is leading the field around here at the Hungarorинг. Final car moving away from the grid. Tomasz Czenka for Zengo Motorsport. Zoltan Zengo's Hungarian team not running cars in the World Touring Car Championship for the first time in several years, or in the WTCR. But Richard, they've got a strong presence still in TCR Europe, and they run the wild card here. Well, let's take a look at our DHL pole sitter. Nesta Girolami ahead of Yvan Muller, Esteban Guerrieri and Aurélien Panis. Then Jan Elesche and teammate Ted Björk ahead of Johan Kristoffersen and Jean-Carl Vernet, respectively the top qualifiers for VW and for Audi, ahead of Augusto Farfus, the best of the Hyundais on the grid, in 8th. Mehdi Benani in his Volkswagen is down in 12th position. Gabriele Tarquini, last year's champion, in 14th. Rob Huff, the 2012 champion, 17th. And look at the big names outside the points. Katzberg, Marcin Kła, Thiago Monteiro, Gordon Shedden, Tom Coronel in 26th position out of 27 cars. There's not been an easy qualifying for some of our drivers. So cars on the final formation lap. And without tyre warmers and having sat on the grid, it's really important now, Richard, to try and get some temperature into the tyres and the brakes to survive the charge downhill into first corner here. It's
very difficult now. These guys don't have tyre warmers, which used to be permitted in the regulations. So yeah, what the driver is doing on this lap comes much more into play in terms of just trying to get the right amount of energy into those tyres and to achieve the target pressures for the start of this race. Also brakes, wanting to have the brakes at operating temperature. You don't want them too hot, you don't want them too cold. You don't want to be locking up a brake into that all-important turn 1. So yeah, there's a lot for the drivers to do. It looks like it's just a creep round to the grid, but I can assure you there's lots going on.
2 points in this season so far for Aurélien Panis out of 3 races in Marrakesh. He starts in 4th place on the grid. This could be a big weekend for the young Frenchman in his Cupra, and he needs the confidence that would inspire to really bring some performance out of him. Onboard view of Norbert Mikelic, the hometown hero, starting in 13th place with the familiar number 5 on his car. All Inkle Motorsport watching with bated breath, their cars 1st and 3rd on the grid. Yvan Muller for Lynk & Co, lying in 2nd position.
There's an Alfa Romeo coming to the pits, Martin.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that was Marcin Kła or Kevin Chekon. Both had a little bit of a trouble time in qualifying. So 26 cars are on the grid. It's Ma in the pit lane, goes straight to the Mulsanne Racing Garage, and the bonnet is coming up. That's not going to get him any points today. Waiting for the green flag to wave at the tail of the field. And the last car on the grid, the green and grey of Zengo Motorsport. That's Tomasz Czenka from Hungary. The grid is complete. Race 1 at the Hungarorинг is about to get underway. On pole position, Nesta Girolami. A good start from him. Very, very good start from Yvan Muller from the outside of the front row. He's going to have a good lunge down the inside. Little contact with Girolami, who gets the door closed very quickly. Muller and Aurélien Panis inside Esteban Guerrieri. Guerrieri is going the long way round. Down the inside, though, comes the number 11 car, Ted Björk, and he is alongside Jan Elesche. There is Aurélien Panis. This is the battle for 3rd place. We're on board with Esteban Guerrieri. Panis trying to hold on. He's got a Honda in one mirror who goes down the inside. Guerrieri unseats the Cupra driver, and through go 1, through go 2. Lynk & Co cars, no, they don't, because Elesche got through, but Ted Björk got shuffled out. Björk has got Jean-Carl Vernet alongside, and an Audi on the other side on the grass. That's Fredrik Vervisch. So the lead 4 or 5 cars have got through, and then behind them, everybody is next up.
Crucial for Guerrieri to keep that position. Tight run thing with Panis there, but that would ruin his race if he got stuck behind Aurélien in this opening laps.
Nesta Girolami, the race leader from Ivan Muller, long way round the outside, into the chicane. Tyre stack is awaiting. Any ground that Thiago Monteiro made up there, he's going to have to give back. He's a little offline, battling with, was that Nicky Katzberg? No, it's Gabriel Itak. No, it was Nicky Katzberg, farther back. And Monteiro gets nudged out wide. Now he's on the inside. His teammate, Attila Tashi, is inside him. Tashi comes through. There's Banani and Huff as they battle for what is around 12th, 13th position. Banani from 12th on the grid, Huff from 17th. So Huffy made a good start. He's behind Andy Prio, or they are both behind Andy Prio. Lots of action at the back of the field. Tom Coronel trying to make up ground as well. Goes around the outside there of Benny Leuchter in the Golf. So action all the way up and down the field.
Panis still under pressure at the end of this opening lap.
Nesta Girolami across the line from Ivan Muller by 0.6 of a second. And Muller is only 0.6 ahead of Esteban Guerrieri as well. So the top two breaking away, then the gaps are smaller. This is a massively packed field. Katzberg versus Tashi, and this is on page 2 of our timing screens. Katzberg 18th, Tashi 19th.
I have to say, Girolami made a very, very good start. We've seen in the opening rounds in Marrakesh how good the Lincoln Co's are off the line. He knew it was coming, but his positioning was perfect. He was aggressive enough just to stop Ivan and to show him he mean business, but without breaking any of the rules.
Yep. And he got the doors shut, and Guerrieri, as you said, really vital for him to wriggle back in front of Paris, going down the inside of the Frenchman's Cupra into turn 2. Not only got him back in front of Paris, but opened the door for Jan Erlaché. There he is in 4th place, ahead of his compatriot, who's in 5th spot. Jean-Carl Vernet, the best Audi, in 6th, ahead of teammate, or brand mate, Frederick Vervisch, run by different teams, hence the different colours. At the moment, though, Panis is looking like he's got more speed than the Lincoln Co car in front. He's got to be able to exploit it, though.
It's all about getting off the last turn, turn 14, onto the start-finish straight. That will be most people's best chance of overtaking.
Up into the final corners, you can have a stab as well up into the tight left-hander at turn 13, but it does require taking a driver by surprise. And he doesn't catch Erlaché by surprise this time. And the problem for Panis is that he's got the turquoise nose of Jean-Carl Vernet right behind his yellow Seat, his yellow Cupra. And if he has a lunge at Erlaché and it doesn't work, he's going to lose more places. But being a racing driver, he's going to want to have a lunge. He did not get well off the corner there. Erlaché got away from him, and Vernet may be closing on Aurélien Panis. Let's hear from Norbert Michelis.
No, the catalyzer is pushed completely up. From what I can see, it's still safe to drive, so keep going, keep an eye on the temperatures.
All right, so maybe a little bit of bumping and boring in the first lap or two has dinged the radiator. And obviously Norby's part of the conversation there was warning the team he's got something flashing on the dash.
And of course, as you pointed out, this little battle here with the Vernet and Vervisch. Of course, they're in the same car, but not the same team, so no quarter given between those two. And as you said, Panis had a horrible exit off turn 14, but luckily Vervisch has put Vernet under pressure into turn 1, and those two are developing a scrap nicely.
Well, despite their dropping back, actually Jean-Carl Vernet last time round set the fastest lap, which is why he was so close behind Aurélien Panis. But now he's got to deal with Frederick Vervisch. As you say, WRT for the turquoise car and Come To You Racing for the grey and black car. Notice all the Audis have got local flag colours on the wing end plates of their rear wings. Nice little touch. They had Moroccan flags, now they've got Hungarian flags, so that's clearly a theme that Audi Sport have decided on representing in pictorial colours where we're racing. Those guys have dropped back a little from Panis as they battle for 6th position, and they are the top Audis. Girolami for Honda, Muller for Lincoln Co, Guerrieri for Honda, and then Erlaché for Lincoln Co. Best of the rest is Aurélien Panis there, the yellow car in 5th place, but he has latched right back onto the tail of Jan Erlaché again. And now this represents, as he comes up behind Erlaché, he's got to have more of a run on him down the straight. The problem for Erlaché, as for Muller, is that the blue cars do not have good top-end speed.
No, they certainly don't, and you know, doesn't affect them too much around here, but it does make overtaking very difficult.
And it also means, like Andy Priaulx there in his car in 15th place, it's difficult to defend when the car behind you has got greater top-line speed. Nicky Katsberg outbrakes himself, and Attila Tashi goes by in the background. There he is, Tashi on the inside. Katsberg can't quite hold the nose of the Hyundai where he wants it in turn 1, or at least couldn't that lap. So Tashi moves up, and that's him into 18th place, still 3 cars away from the points.
Yeah, considering he was close to winning a race at the opener before brake failure put him out of contention.
Looking back at Nicky Katsberg under pressure now from Benjamin Leuchter, who set the fastest first sector of the race in the number 33 Golf. Benny Leuchter is the test and development driver who's responsible for basically helping the designers work on this car. Ahead of him, Bernani 16th, Huff 17th. The only car in the points is Johan Kristoffersen for Volkswagen Motorsport, who's in 9th position. And there is Gordon Shedden. Flash struggling against Tom Coronel. Neither qualified well. That's a battle for 21st place. And neither of them will be particularly pleased to be down there.
No, Gordon Shedden, a 3-time British Touring Car champion. Tom Coronel, a multiple race winner at this level.
And Benny Leuchter, having just set the fastest first sector, being shown the black and white flag, which is the final warning on track limits. And you have to assume, if he's gone purple in sector 1, he probably wholesale cut turn 4, which is out of bounds. Nesta Girolami covers off the inside as they come down the straight from Ivan Muller. He knows from the timing screens and the results, as we do. Whoa! And Panis has had a lunge at Air Lachey, and there's a chance for Jean-Carl Vernet. Vernet looking for 4th, he's got it. Who's going to be 5th? Air Lachey on the inside, and Panis is down to 6th, and he's got the other Audi, and that is Vervish inside him. So Air Lachey was 4th, and
I think he's got some broken suspension.
Yeah, that car's not going to make it round, is it? As the engineer's eye spotted that before it became evident to the TV viewer, which is me. Behind him, Ted Bjerg has to go wide, and Air Lachey finally gives up the battle. Panis behind, can't give up the battle. Vervish out very wide on the exit of turn 5, trying to get a slingshot to come down into the chicane. Can't get through past the Cupra. The net effect, though, was that Panis remains where he was in 5th, but it's no longer Air Lachey in front of him, it's now Vernet. So Vernet moved up 2, Panis remains stationary, Vervish moved up 1, because he's now in 6th, not in 7th. Ted Bjerg in 7th, not 8th. And Jan Air Lachey, well, it was Uncle Ivan who had something go wrong in the front end of the car in the final race in Marrakesh. Is it front or rear end of that car that's not
left rear?
playing?
I think it's left rear, Martin.
On board with Thiago Montero. Down the inside comes Langeveld in the Audi, and Montero can't hold him off or hold his line. He drifts out wide in 11. Checon comes by in the Alfa. This is now the battle for 24th place.
Yeah, miserable weekend for Thiago so far.
Yeah.
Showed very, very good place to the opening round in Marrakesh.
Yes, a real shame, because you would think perhaps this would play better for him. Frederick Vervish, what do you say? Oh, we didn't see that in hindsight. That was Mikael Ascona, who we heard from on the grid, getting tagged by Augusto Farfus.
It's Hagloff.
Oh, it is. So Hagloff was, you're right, he was in 12th, Ascona was in 11th. Yeah, Hagloff with the white stripes and Ascona with the orange. I should have spotted that. Nesta Girolami, the race leader from Ivan Muller and Esteban Guerrieri. Now, Ivan Muller's in the position that Ted Bjerg was in the final race, apart from the fact he's not leading, but one of the team's cars has had, was that contact, do you think, that broke the left rear suspension? Likely to be.
Yeah, I would say so.
But you'd have to hope that the team think, on the radio they'll report to you, yeah, we think it was contact. Because you don't want cars of your same mark dropping out behind you. Yeah, you can see behind the rear wheel and in front of it there's damage on the bodywork. Now, of course, if somebody's made contact there, it'll be with their wheel, so somebody else may have a problem waiting to take them by surprise.
It's what we were saying earlier there, Martin. You know, you just got to avoid these drop scores, these zeros.
Yeah.
I think that's really where the championship will be won and lost.
Well, when you start in the top 6, you expect to finish in the top 6, and for Jan Erlaché, I'm afraid it will be a 0 to go to the one that Marcin Kła is going to add. And in fact, there's going to be at least 10 drivers. There will be 12 drivers who don't finish in the top 15 from our 27 starters. Black and white flag also being shown to car number 52, which is Gordon Shedden, because as if he hasn't got enough problems, he also can't keep the car within track limits.
Esteban definitely getting towards the hindquarters of Ivan Muller.
Yep.
I think if he can stay with him on this lap and get a good exit out of turn 14, he'll have to start thinking about getting past him, because Vernet is very quick in a straight line and is definitely catching this group.
Well, one thing we know about Ivan Muller is that he's always a danger when he's behind you, and another thing we know about Ivan Muller is that it is not easy to pass him. He knows all the tricks, he's used them all many times before, so anything you can think up, he's already seen and will hopefully have anticipated for him hanging on in second place. But Daniel Hagloff, down in 12th, was pushed out of 9th by Augusto Farfus at the chicane. Undoubtedly, the stewards will look at that. Any contact that involves a place change does get examined. Whether or not they'll say, well, we've got to let them race, we'll have to wait and see. Let's hear from Ted Björk. He is in 7th place.
Track limit on Vervish, track limit on Vervish, a couple of times.
Well, again, team radio talking through a goldfish bowl. He was talking about Vervish, but what did he say? Track limits for Frederick Vervish. Well, Vervish has just been given a black and white flag anyway, so Björk complaining to the teacher about it was a little too late. Frederick Vervish has the fastest race lap on the last tour. Whether that included going inside turn 4 or wide outside turn 11, not sure. Battle for second place, a long queue, headed by Ivan Muller, then Esteban Guerrieri, Jean-Carl Vernet, Aurélien Panis and Frederick Vervish. There's Gordon Shedden. Well, we talked about how Aurélien Panis could do with a really good weekend to give him some confidence and to catch a break. I think Flash definitely needs that as well. Another tough weekend for Gordon Shedden. He is out of the race, joining Marcin Kła and Jan Erlaché on the sidelines. Not quite sure what Flash needs to do, Richard Coleman, to turn this around. He needs a break because his run of form is now not good for most of last season, almost all of last season, and it seems to be continuing in.
And his teammate doing a very, very good job, who lies 4th in this race and, you know, pressuring for a podium position. But one thing we haven't spoken about, Martin, is tyre wear. And this circuit definitely has one of the biggest sort of tyre wear factors that we go to, mainly just because there's so many constant radius corners and it's quite a long lap here. So the difference between a qualifying setup and a race setup is very, very different. So you can see these cars now starting to struggle to hold the line, and this now comes into how the cars have been set up over the 12-lap distance. And I have to say, you know, Girolami is starting to look a little bit looser. He's missing a few apexes. He's running on a little bit. Puffs of tyre smoke, just trying to get the nose of the car in. While Ivan looks quite pretty at the moment in terms of his car balance. So it'll be interesting to see if in the last sort of third of this race, whether that mixes anything up, really.
Yeah, and if you're looking for somebody with the experience to manage the tyres, then Ivan is well up there on the list, isn't he? Not to say that Néstor Girolami and Esteban Guerrieri couldn't, but the more you've done it, the more straightforward it becomes, or the more instinctive it becomes. And this year's tyre, which has got a different construction to last, is harder to manage. Little contact there between Benny Leuchter and the Hyundai. And Leuchter and Katzberg coming to blows over 18th. Black and white flag for the 88 car of Katzberg. Well, in fairness, he didn't jump the chicane. He was helped. He was thrown through it. Oh, now you talked about how the tyres are starting to go away. Kevin Chicon there, all at 6s and 7s with a huge save under braking. And he's just now dropped behind Nils Langenfeldt and Thiago Monteiro. And, you know, one of the delights of this championship is, with all the various different machinery, how tight it is at the top. But it also means that even when you're out of the points, it's a tough battle for positions.
Certainly is, and just watching the race pace, the leaders, they're kind of sort of falling off about 3-4 tenths in lap time, which doesn't sound a lot, but in touring car terms, that is a reasonable amount, and that is as this tyre wear starts to set in.
Well, we're 3/4 of the way through. This is lap 9 of 12. No safety cars yet to add to the race distance. So Langenfeldt, Monteiro, who we ride with, and Chacon. And this is 21st, 22nd, 23rd. So final point being earned by Rob Huff, currently in 15th, just ahead of Attila Tashi. So 2 Volkswagens in the points. Huff is 15th. Johan Kristoffersson, whose name we've barely mentioned, is sort of a little bit all at sea on his own in 8th. He is half a second, 3/4 of a second behind Ted Björk, and about the same, almost a full second ahead of Augusto Farfus.
Straight's just not quite long enough for Guerrieri to get that toe that he needs, but Ivan having to go defensive. That's the first time in this battle we've seen him have to move off his line to cover. Guerrieri's probably going to struggle to go around the outside of turn 2.
He's going to be brave and have a go, though.
But this puts Ivan under pressure. Of course, the big winners are also the cars sat there behind, waiting for something to go awry between these two. And of course, all of this lets our race leader Girolami off the hook.
Just a fraction.
Pulls out a nice little gap. He can't quite breathe, but that's certainly a lot more comfortable than it was.
Yeah.
You know, before, if he'd made any slight mistake, Ivan would have been up the inside of him, whereas now, you know, one mistake, he's probably going to hold position. So just a car length or so does make a big difference. But I think realistically, the only place Guerrieri is going to have a safe chance of a pass is a lunge into turn 1, which means a great exit off turn 14, the last turn.
Well, you know, it's still very early in the season, and he would rather be second than third, but on the final lap, unless a golden opportunity falls into his lap, he's going to have to bear in mind that the points he will earn in this race will see him go to sleep tonight as the points leader over Ted Björk.
And I'd say if we were watching this with the positions reversed, I'd say almost certainly Ivan won't risk anything, but Esteban quite often in the past hasn't been that shy of inviting himself down the inside of somebody.
Well, like Lopez, he's you know, sometimes Lopez used to say, I'm a bit too Latin, and I think Esteban would probably hold his hand up to that as well occasionally. Yeah,
and you know, for our sakes, let's hope that he does.
Aurelian Panis in 5th position. What could perhaps have been a stab at a podium might yet be tomorrow as well. There's no questioning there is speed in the Cupras as there is in the Hondas. And Panis is having a proper racing weekend, I think really for the first time in his touring car career. Penultimate lap here of race 1 in Hungary. Nesta Girolami skates down into turn 2, but Ivan Muller in 2nd place in the Lincoln Co. 03 has shaken off his pursuer Esteban Guerrieri. 2 to go. And Muller is still thinking, as he always still thinks, about how he's going to win this race, not how he's going to hang on. He's free of the pursuers, and that means that if there's any chance of piling the pressure on Nesta Girolami to win this, then he will definitely do so.
Yeah, Esteban just dropped a bit too much time. He lost good 8 tenths to Ivan there, so yeah, he's now out of the tow, can't slipstream on the straight, so almost certainly his chance of passing is gone. But Ivan pulled his finger out on that lap and closed the gap to under 4 tenths to Girolami, maybe having a line up for a little bit of a last lap look, but as I said, I don't think that Ivan will risk too much in the closing stages of this race.
In this queue, the man at the front is Mikel Ascona, the Spaniard in his Cupra. Right behind him and in front of us is Andy Priaulx in the 4th of the Lincoln Co. 03s. Ascona drifts a little wide. Priaulx having a look down the inside. Gabriele Tarquini right behind. If the door's half open, Tarquini's going to go through as well. There's a little bit of robust racing, rubbing racing. Look in his door mirror, look, you can see Ascona's still there, he's still there, he's still there, and he gives back what he got. Tarquini denied him the line. There was a bit of a bump as Ascona wanted to come back on, but cross Gabriele Tarquini at your peril. Ask everybody, ask anybody. Ascona hung out to dry on the outside. Here comes Huff, and right behind him, Attila Tashi and Thiago Montero. So Ascona now in 15th at the line, the final point scorer. But Tashi has gone by him onto the last lap. So Tashi is in the points in the Hell Honda.
So just 6 world championships up the inside of Ascona in the space of
Yes.
2.5 corners there, but he certainly wasn't shy.
Yeah. And Attila Tashi hangs on in front of Ascona, who's feeling the pressure. Back to our lead group. Ivan Muller has dropped away from Girolami, who's put in a final burst. On the last lap, Guerrieri is right there again. If Ivan puts a foot wrong, Esteban will go straight through without a second bidding. Ivan Muller in second place for Cyan Racing at the chicane, halfway through the lap. Still one danger point right towards the end of the lap. But Guerrieri is going to have to pull a real blinder to catch Ivan Muller by surprise. Nestor Girolami just about safe out front in terms of attack from behind, unless Ivan can find something up the hill. Honda, Lynk & Co, Honda, then Audi, then Cupra, then Audi, then Lynk & Co again. Ted Björk, who came here as the points leader, he's in 7th. Best Volkswagen, Johan Kristoffersson on his way to his first points of the season. Then in 9th place and 10th place, the top 2 Hyundais, Augusto Farfus and Norbert Michelisz. But the first race in Hungary, round 4 of the FIA WTCR 2019, will go to Nestor Girolami, his first race win since China 2017. In a Volvo, he beats Ivan Muller to the line. Esteban Guerrieri makes it a 1-3 for Munich Motorsport. That's really good points for them in the team's championship. Jean-Carl Vernet, the best Audi, in 4th. Aurelien Panis in 5th position, ahead of stablemate Fredrik Vervisch in 6th. And they race all the way to the line. Attila Tashi, the Hungarian, did get the final point in 15th position. 19 years old, and in the points at home. Well, a little bit of a shake of the head from Norbert Michelisz, slightly anonymous if you're not a Hungarian fan, in 10th position. And at the tail of the field, Marcin Kvar, Gordon Shedden and Jan Erlash.